Hello friends, welcome to my channel Cryptic Wisdom. Friends, let's start today's story. In a small village nestled among the rolling hills of ancient India, there lived an old farmer named Vishnu. He had worked the fields tirelessly for decades, providing for his family and teaching his son, Ravi, the ways of farming. As the years passed, Vishnu grew frail, his body no longer able to endure the physical demands of the farm. He spent his days sitting on the porch, gazing out at the fields he had once cultivated with care. Ravi, now a young man, had taken over the responsibilities of the farm. As he toiled in the fields, he would often glance at his father sitting idly on the porch. Each time he did, a wave of frustration washed over him. He's of no use anymore, Ravi thought bitterly. He doesn't do anything, just sits there while I do all the work. The resentment festered within Ravi, growing stronger with each passing day. He could not understand why his father, who had once been so active and hard-working, had now become a burden. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, until one day, his frustration reached its peak. Determined to free himself from what he perceived as an unnecessary burden, Ravi decided to take drastic action. He built a wooden coffin, its rough-hewn boards echoing the harshness of his emotions. Dragging it to the porch, Ravi confronted his father. "Get in," he said coldly, unable to meet his father's eyes. Without a word, Vishnu stood up, his movements slow and deliberate, and climbed into the coffin. There was no anger or fear in his eyes, only a deep, unwavering calm. Ravi closed the lid of the coffin and began the arduous task of dragging it to the edge of the farm, where a high cliff overlooked a vast valley. His heart pounded with a mix of anger and guilt, but he pushed those feelings aside, focusing only on his task. As he neared the cliff's edge, he suddenly heard a faint tapping sound from within the coffin. Startled, Ravi stopped and hesitated before slowly lifting the lid. His father lay there, still peaceful and calm, as if he had accepted his fate. "I know you are going to throw me over the cliff," Vishnu said in a soft voice. "But before you do, may I suggest something?" Ravi was taken aback by his father's serenity. "What is it?" he asked, his voice tinged with confusion. Vishnu looked up at his son with eyes full of wisdom and compassion. "Throw me over the cliff if you must," he said gently, "but save this good wooden coffin. Your children might need to use it one day." The weight of his father's words hit Ravi like a thunderbolt. In that moment, he realized the depth of his father's wisdom and the profound lesson he was imparting. Ravi understood that by discarding his father in such a callous manner, he was not only disrespecting the man who had given him life, but also setting a precedent for how he, too, might be treated in his old age. Tears welled up in Ravi's eyes as he knelt beside the coffin, his anger and frustration dissolving into profound remorse. He helped his father out of the coffin and embraced him tightly, vowing never to let such thoughts cloud his mind again. "Forgive me, Father," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "I was blinded by my own ignorance." Vishnu smiled and placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "There is nothing to forgive, my son. You have learned an important lesson today. The way we treat our elders shapes the way we ourselves will be treated. Compassion, respect, and understanding are the true duties of a son towards his father." From that day forward, Ravi cared for his father with renewed love and devotion, understanding that his father's value went far beyond physical labor. Vishnu, in turn, continued to share his wisdom and guidance, enriching Ravi's life in ways that no amount of work in the fields ever could. Together, they nurtured the farm and each other, living out their days in harmony and mutual respect. As the years passed, Ravi's children grew up witnessing the deep bond between their father and grandfather. They learned the importance of compassion and respect, and when the time came, they cared for Ravi in the same way he had cared for his father. Vishnu's wisdom lived on, passed down through the generations, reminding all who heard it of the sacred duty a son has toward his father. The story also teaches that it is never too late to correct one's mistakes. Ravi's recognition of his error and his subsequent change in behavior show that forgiveness and redemption are possible when one acknowledges their wrongdoings and makes amends.